So I have been waiting to get my hands on one of these for a long time. Obviously, I've been playing around with the dual lens mod and the HD mod. Obviously, if you haven't seen this before, the Insta360 like breaks apart and you can like reconfigure it into different things. So this one's the 360 camera version, but the one I haven't had a chance to play with is the interchangeable 1" edition, and that's this Leica lens that is supposed to be much better at low light and just have higher resolution. It's got, I think it shoots at 5K. It should be really, really awesome. So I haven't had a chance to actually play around with this yet. I've only been able to use this so far, so I'm excited to pop this open and get it on some drones so we can test out how the Insta360 ONE R 1" edition is. Popping it out of the box here. Oh, whew. Okay, first of all, that is a very pronounced lens. Like, I knew it was bigger, but it's way bigger. Look at that thing. Look at this chunky. So here's the 360 mod versus that. It's huge. This is a quarter, so that lens is roughly a quarter. This one is huge. That's crazy. And I'm pretty sure that, yeah, this just screws right off. Oh, thing is massive. Like, it's got some weight to it too. 14.4 millimeter equivalent, f3.2. Okay, it looks like we'll have to activate it, so we'll just set that aside. Oh, no, there it goes. Oh yeah. 1" of glory. Also my nickname in high school. So we want video, 5.3K, 16:9, 30 with flow state. Nice. Dude, I can't wait to fly that. Alright, so that's a chunkster. I wonder if that's even going to be, that might even be tricky to mount on a camera or on a quad. That's crazy. Cool. So power that off, set that aside. See what else we got here in our box. USB-C cable, stickers, lens wipe, and a cage. Hopefully it's the same cage, and the mounty things. One thing I do love about Insta360s is that they come with a 1/4 20 thread on the bottom, so this will work on any tripod. It's so annoying to have to adapt the GoPro to that. That's all there is to it. Let's take it out for some testing, I suppose. Actually, I am curious what the weight difference is between the 3 modules. So if we put the Leica module, it's 80 grams just by itself. That's a GoPro session without any camera. So there's something to think about, is that that's pretty heavy. Compared to the 4K mod, which is half of it at 42, and then the 360 mod is lighter, actually 40 grams. So the whole built camera, this screen, and battery is 158 grams compared to a GoPro Hero 8, which is 129 grams. 158, almost 59. Then set this aside. 120 for that, and 118.5 for that. So yeah, there's some weight to this thing. Like I mean, even just in the hand, like, it feels pretty heavy. So 82 grams just for this part of the whole apparatus. They also sent me this little case for it, and I'm a sucker for cases, though I probably won't use this one because it's so big. This would go in here in the cage if I had it in the cage, so I can't even put the cage on without taking this thing off. That's crazy. And then I've also got this, they sent this charging bank for it that uses the same mounts, which is pretty cool. I literally had to look at the instructions to figure out how to put all that together. It's not good. Oh yeah. Okay, we've got everything ready to go, so we are going to head out and find a spot to fly. Ugh. So sometimes when I end up filming videos, I end up being a little bit, I don't know, risk averse. And it's not because I'm like afraid of like what I'm gonna crash into or who I'm gonna crash into or anything like that. Like, I can find spots that are safe to be at, but I want to end up in a spot where I can be there for a few minutes to test out a bunch of different things. Like, so today, you know, we've got to test the Insta360 1" edition, but then I also have to fly the GoPro, and then I have to fly it with hyper smooth and with real steady and without stabilization. I gotta fly this one with stabilization and without stabilization. Like, and so it just,
ends up becoming a bit of a process, like just to film a video. And that means that I gotta be here for like an hour, hour and a half, and I want to be in a spot where I know that I'm not going to get interrupted or get in people's way. So I always end up coming back to Church Day. So I hope you guys are okay with me ending up having to shoot in the same spot over and over again. That being said, I'm really excited. Before we jump into everything, I'm just gonna say all of this footage is, I've uploaded each clip individually, so if you wanna look at any given clip just by itself, the full flight, I've uploaded it. You can see in the description, there's a link to my website, and my website then has links back to each and every one of the different videos, as well as just some thoughts and writings and musings and stuff like that. So please check that out. And then while you're doing that, be sure to subscribe, like the video, comment down in the video kind of what you're thinking so far and what you think, and we'll get back to the testing right now. So I did a flight with the 1-inch edition, seemed fine. I was kind of maybe slightly worried that like this big old dealio would potentially catch some extra wind interference or something like that, like it just caused drag. Didn't really notice it at all. Actually, I liked the extra little bit of weight. You know, this being like 30 or 40 grams heavier than the GoPro, like the drone flew great in what is actually fairly windy conditions today. Unfortunately, there was a little bit of wind. But so now I'm gonna take this thing apart and put the 4K mod on it so that you can kind of side by side it, the 4K mod against the 1-inch edition. So tearing this apart and setting this guy aside, putting the 4K mod on here, then slapping our battery back on. And now we'll do a flight with this guy with the 4K mod so you can compare the difference between the 1-inch sensor and the 4K mod. And then after that, we're gonna switch over to a couple different flights on the GoPro. So hopefully that is what you're looking for. Okay, so we're gonna set aside the ONE R now, especially like with the 4K mod and all that, and get over to the GoPro. And we're gonna fly a few packs on the GoPro so that we can compare that against how the footage looks out of the 1-inch edition, the 4K mod, and then the GoPro itself. You know, because this is pretty much the gold standard. So we'll go ahead and fly a couple batteries on this. I'm not using any like ND filters or anything. I've got the like cover on here, but that's irrelevant. And so there's no filtering, obviously, like on this, there's no ND filter on there right now. The same on the ONE R 4K mod, and then also on the GoPro, just to keep everything even across the board. Also, for the purposes of these tests, I'm running both on like auto shutter and auto white balance, just to have them both be doing roughly the same thing. The GoPro is running GoPro color, and then this is running its normal color mode, which is just basically not log, because I just didn't know if I was going to get the same, like once I do the correction, I want to make sure that everything is roughly the same. So I'm just letting them go kind of more on their default settings. They're both locked at a maximum of 400 ISO with a auto shutter speed. So it should be pretty close to at least like the same desired picture anyway. Obviously when I shot with a 1-inch sensor, I shot it on 5K 30. I shot this at 4K 30, and now I'm shooting the GoPro at 4K 30, both with and without super view. And I just got the drone pretty high, stuck up in a tree. Curse of Paul wanting to film a video and ending up destroying gear without extras carries on yet again. Always ends up happening. I have to figure out how to... Oh, it is way up there. Well, I'm not gonna reach that. And this is the tree that I would have to climb if I was gonna do that. That's not happening. All these branches are dead anyway. All right, well, let's grab the controller and hope for the best. We're gonna need some new props, but everything else looks pretty good. And you know what I just realized? Didn't bring a prop tool. I'm pretty sure that's literally the same thing that happened the last time I was here testing the Insta360 even. Oh, how have I not learned this lesson yet? Okay, I'm literally gonna go on Pyrodrone and order another prop tool right now so that I have something to have in my bag. Sometimes I just go out without tools because I'm like, oh, it's just chill flying, and then my good. So I guess we're taking a quick jaunt back home. Be right back. Actually, you know what? I'm walking to the car right now and I'm thinking the only flight that I had left to do was the GoPro running on Hypersmooth. But you've already seen a ton of GoPro running on Hypersmooth, and we have the raw original GoPro without Hypersmooth filmed already, so I don't think there's really a point. So yeah, no, I'm not coming back. I'm gonna do what I want. That being said, I do have 1 or 2 more things that I want to test, just to answer a couple quick questions for myself, and we'll do that back at the house. Actually, not going out is gonna work out perfectly because I just found out that we have plans tonight, and I don't have time to do that, go back out, run, and all that stuff, but that's okay. So I think we've got established like a pretty good perspective on like what that footage is, so we'll take a look at it together tonight when I make it back to my computer. One more thing that I did want to look at before I was done testing for the day during the light, and I want to spend some time testing out the low light features of this. Like, that's one of the bigger values, I think, of the bigger sensor that's on this thing. But this giant reflective surface, I'm worried that it's gonna cast a bit of a vignette onto the lens as it looks into direct sunlight. Now that's not usually a problem, but if you think, for example, if you're filming like straight into the sun, and like obviously you're not usually going straight up, but like during a sunset when you're going laterally and you're heading towards the sun, you might get these like shadows that kind of like come in on the corner of the glass. This happens with a lot of like ND filters that you put on GoPros, and it kind of ruins the footage if you ask me. So I want to point this straight at the sun as soon as it comes out from these clouds, of course, that to make sure that it's not creating that crazy vignette when filming. Okay, we finally got some direct sunlight, and I'm pointing it straight into the sun. Trying to see if there's any kind of vignette on there. I'm not seeing any on the back of the screen. I guess I'll have to take a peek at the back of the computer to see if we can actually see it. Come here! What's this? Come here! What's that? What's this thing? What's that? What's that? Okay, so we are back at the desk. We're taking a look at the footage that we captured earlier today and just kind of comparing and contrasting the things that we're seeing. I'm going to start with the GoPro. Oh my gosh, it's been so long since I've looked at... Oh, really? Is this the way we're going to play this? Did I really bump that thing? I haven't looked at GoPro color footage in a while. It's actually quite sharpened, and man, that was really early in the flight to have done that. That's really embarrassing. I'm sorry, guys. Oh, well. I think we'll be able to work with it despite that, because you're not really looking at that edge anyway. Definitely a super wide view with hyper view. Super view makes things look so good. I don't like GoPro color very much. I like the flat version so much better. It gets really dark, like right there, like it's auto exposing for the sky. You can see all of the detail in the clouds, but like you're losing everything down here in the trees really quickly. But it's really sharp, not too sharp. Like sometimes you see things that are like obnoxiously like, you know, but you're still got a little bit of blur there, a little motion blur, a little bit of sharpening. It's good. It's really good. GoPro is definitely the standard. I do not like this color profile. Like you can see, like look at this sky. It's like, I mean, it looks good right there, but like here, like what color is that right there? Like what's going on? So yeah, and then when we fall out of the tree here, finally at the end, wee, come on, bud. You can do it. Boom. Hey, look at me. That's funny. Okay, so now we'll go over to the Insta360 suite and take a look at the footage that we captured through that. Okay, so this was the first flight. This would have been with the 1-inch sensor. And it definitely looks sharpened. So like you just see how like there's really harsh lines everywhere. Like even in the grass down here, there's this like fake sharpened look. That being said, it looks pretty good. I think this is with hyper. Let's turn off flow state. It's one of my favorite things about the Insta360 stuff is that you can turn the stabilization on and off in the post. Something so stupid that GoPro doesn't do that, because like sometimes I'd like to film with, you know, I film it with hyper smooth, but then I realize after the fact that like maybe I'd like it to be unstabilized, and that happens more often than you think. The field of view is definitely a little bit narrower. I'll try to find a segment where I can show that off. Let's see. Watch the edges on this as I come up to this tree. Thought I saw some vibrations, but it doesn't look too bad. That was one of the things I was worried about with the bigger sensor and the bigger lens and everything, was that you'd start to pronounce the vibrations a little bit more. But if you watch the edge, I'm not really seeing it. Like I'm seeing the sharpness from having
shutter speed wide open. So like, because, so like basically, and I have a whole video about ND filters and how they work, but basically as you increase your shutter speed, that means that like, it basically means that the shorter that the shutter is open, the crisper the image looks, but there's a visual look and feel. There's a balance somewhere where you want it to be closed, or you want the shutter to only be open for so long, and it helps reduce vibrations in the footage just a little bit. It is not an anti-jello thing, but it does help. And because with this we don't have any way to do any kind of ND filtering or anything like that. Well, like, yeah, look here. I don't know, something about that area just looks a little bit like it's a little bit too sharp. Like, I wish that whatever post sharpening is going on is not happening. But it looks really good because, like, you can see the brightest part of the trees and then down into the darkest part of the forest there. That's pretty sweet. This color profile is definitely less colorful than the GoPro's one. Losing some detail in the trees and in the highlights, but I mean, that's going to happen either way. This is like the worst possible lighting conditions too. You can see that the sun is pretty much straight above, so like nothing looks good no matter what. We would have to get this out at like sunset with the GoPro and the Insta360 to see what that looks like. But yeah, I'm liking this a lot. I think it looks pretty good. The white balance stays a little bit more consistent, I think, than the GoPro, on GoPro Color anyway. That you can lock down white balance on both, obviously, so that is something that's solved. I think the like right here, the transition from like low darkness to high darkness is taking longer than the GoPro does. Like, I wouldn't expect this to be overexposed right now, because like you can't see any of the clouds, and I'm going to just play it forward a little bit, and all of a sudden those clouds will come back. See that? So I wonder if there's a way to increase the rate of exposure change. But that's, you know, it's not terrible. Especially if it handles low light situations better, which we haven't had a chance to play with yet. But yeah, in terms of GoPro alternative, this is looking pretty good. I don't know if I see like a huge difference from the 1-inch sensor necessarily yet. I'm thinking that will more show up in the low light tests and the you know, just other kind of like detail. The 5K probably helps a little bit in like in terms of just being able to look at some of the resolution of things and stuff like that. But yeah, it looks pretty good. I'm not disappointed at all, that's for sure. I really would like to see it right at sunset or with properly exposed footage, because this super sharp thing is not working for me right now. So I am going to take all of this footage and upload it individually to my website. There'll be a link in the description that has each clip in its original form available for you to go check out. You can do kind of your own decisions on how things look and all that stuff. And so if you want to do that, if you want to go kind of dive deep into it, you are more than welcome to do that. I'm making that as an option for you. For me, still probably preferring the GoPro a little bit, but I'm really excited to play around with the 1-inch version in low light, where the bigger sensor is going to help it pull in more light from the ambient surroundings. So I'm excited to play around with that. I'm not doing that in this video, just as a little bit of a tease, so you'll have to come back for low light comparisons. I hope that's okay. Yeah, in the meantime, thanks for hanging out. Please like and subscribe and comment, all those good things. It's a huge benefit to me. There's a membership program where you can kind of sign up and become a monthly I guess donator to the channel. I have a Patreon account as well. I'd love to have you support this channel on all of that as well, so please consider doing any of those. Thank you very much for your time, and stay flying.